This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to actually finish off Dreadnok week with the G.I. Joe Classified Series Zandar figure. Now, originally I was going to finish this off with the Transformers crossover Soundwave Thunder Machine thing, and I still have that video recorded. I am still editing it, but since Zandar came out, I figured we might as well finish it off using him instead. That being said, let's take a look at the box here. On the side, we have a bit of artwork here. I don't know. I'm not too fond of the head design in this artwork. It just doesn't look right to me. Also, just notice, at least in the artwork, we'll see if it's on the figure, but it looks like he's got the ear gauge plug thing going on, which I'm also not a big fan of. On the other side of the box, we have just the same plain old crap that we always get. And on the back, we have our render. It does look like he has the ear gauges. Apparently, Zandar here is not going to be one of our undercover specialists. They do show us some detailing a tattoo. A tattoo that looks pretty good in the artwork, but will probably be a little thick in the lines and hard to see on the actual figure. His joints are already kind of loose, I can tell right now, just trying to get him to stand up. But let's take a quick look at his equipment. He comes with what looks like a harpoon rifle. I'm assuming the things in the backpack are more harpoon bolts for it, though none of them come out. So the rifle itself doesn't look too bad, though. I mean, it'll be a nice little display weapon. Since we already talked about the backpack a little bit, let's talk about it a little bit more. Has a handle at the top. Has additional bolts in there. Although with the way that those are all packed in there, I would suspect that he's going to have a hell of a time trying to get one out if the end of them are all like that. But the overall design of the backpack is not too bad. And in case you're wondering, the peg is fairly stiff. He's got this weird looking knife thing. This is like that kind of thing you would buy like mall ninjas. This is a mall ninja weapon. Then he's got pretty much a straight stiletto style dagger here, which I like the look of this one. And he comes with a standard pistol. So his harness here does have a holster for the pistol, and it's not just a friction grip. There's also an actual, like, I don't actually have any idea what this part is called on a holster. The immediate problem is, though, is that it's really hard to get that back in place once you've got the pistol in there. So that's kind of an issue. Looks like his mall knife, his mall ninja knife here. And that's the only place it could go, because certainly this rifle's not fitting in there. And then his little stiletto dagger goes in this harness in the back, or the sheath in the back. That looks pretty good, actually. Oh, this is even worse than I thought. All right, first off, let's take a look at his standard head sculpt. He looks more or less okay. The face paint looks pretty well done. I never had the original Zandar figure, I don't think. I think Zartan and Zartan were the ones I had. So I can't really compare that to what that looked like. But, okay, so he's got a plugged gauge in one ear, and then it looks like he's just wearing a thick hoop earring on the other ear. Because, like, that's definitely not set up the same way as that side. I don't know. I find that to be even worse, to be honest. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the ear gauging, and if you like them, that's fine. You can like whatever you want. I just they just kind of creep me out, to be honest, especially when the person isn't wearing a plug. But to have one side done and not the other, though, that imbalance is just even worse. Shoulder pauldrons got some nice little skull detail on them. Looks pretty good. Some additional chains over there. The belt has some chains on there, and that is part of the actual diaper sculpt for the most part. So that's not coming off. Thigh holster is a separate piece. I'm not going to move it too much because I don't want to loosen it up. The little extra detail on the one boot I think is kind of dumb. Just my opinion. Maybe if they had it on both sides, but even then, I just don't like the spikes on there. So, articulation-wise, on the head, we do have a ball joint. He can nod up and down. He can look sideways. Both the harness and the neckerchief do interfere with that. Well, let's go ahead and pop the head off here. We do continue the artwork on his neck. Now, honestly, if we kind of look at this as being scars instead of just like face paint or tattoos, that brings up a whole new dark history there for him. Now, I've heard people say that you can take the chest piece here off because there is actually, they continue the paint underneath it. But it still looks like in order to do that, you're going to have to heat him up and remove like the arm. At least one arm is probably going to have to be pulled out of here or something in order to take that off. Unless, of course, you just want to cut it, which, I mean, if you got a second figure, that's fine. Maybe I would consider doing that if I find him on sale, but otherwise, the harness itself isn't not designed to easily come off. And he did not have this in his original figure back in the day either. And, of course, that little doohickey is coming loose. He, of course, does have the additional articulation down at the bottom of the throat area, like G.I. Joe figures do. Actually, he does have kind of like the more looser joint up here, too. Like the Masters Universe figures have. We do have a butterfly joint, but I don't know if it's just the shoulder part, which actually, oh, this is interesting too now that I look at it. This is actually like attached to his arm. It's like glued on there. It's not a separate piece, and it's not attached to the butterfly joint or other things like a lot of other figures have. It is a permanent part of his arm, and it is separate plastic from his arm. I guess they actually did the same thing with Zartan too, now that I think about it. It does affect the ability to hinge his arm up, however, quite a bit, in fact. So that's kind of a big negative there. He does have a bicep cut. Double joint at the elbow. Spin at the wrist. The up and down hinge, but the design on the does not really allow for much movement. Here is his tattoo. As I thought, the lines are really thick. He does have an ab crunch, and it makes a nice snapping sound when you move it. We do have the little ball joint at the waist to kind of mimic the O-ring movements. Of course, the drop down hip, and again, on this one, this side is really loose, a lot looser than usual with the figures. We do have a thigh cut, where we can spin it through full 360. Double joint bend at the knees. The standard boot cut on a Joe figure. And of course, the ankle articulation and the spin. And once again, the little holder for the holster did in fact pop out again. That's getting to be annoying. Although I guess if you're just displaying him, that's probably not going to be an issue. It's probably because I'm messing with him. We have his original file card from the 80s. And interesting to note, although you're not going to see it with what I'm doing, they had two versions of the file card like they did with a lot of the other Dreadnoks characters. But instead of editing text for this guy, what they actually ended up editing was the image. Apparently, the second card had shorter hair, and he had some kind of he had some harness equipment on him that they removed. Codename Zandar. I'm not sure that's a codename if that's his actual name, by the way. Zartan's brother. Zandar is a master of camouflage and covert movement. In other words, he's good at hiding and sneaking up on people. Needless to say, he doesn't sneak up on people to do them any good. Zandar is an expert with silent weapons and is capable of remaining motionless for long periods of time. Like his brother Zartan, he has the ability to change skin color. Zandar was a kid who never got noticed. Teachers forgot he was there and never called on him. Nobody that has ever met him can remember what his voice sounds like. His anonymity was no accident. He worked at it all through his formative years, and after he grew up, he got even better at it. So yeah, back in the day, the original figure's skin changed colors, which is something that we have only seen on the convention-exclusive version of Zartan, that feature being removed, of course. That's too bad. So I think that will do it for this look at Zandar, Zartan's brother. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below here. As mentioned, I'm not a big fan of the way they did his ears, especially the imbalance afterwards, looking at one side having the huge gauge and plug and the other side just having like a hoop, it looks like, of some sort. Also, those are the only silver pieces on him. Everything else is gold, so that's kind of weird too, in my opinion. But I think this will also conclude our Dreadnok week now. The Soundwave, Thunder Machine, and, the figures with that, those will still be posted at some point in the near future because I am actually working on those. So please feel free to subscribe if you want to see those when they come up. Hit that notification bell for that, I guess. I never think about the notification bell because I never use it. And if you enjoyed this look at Zandar, and especially if you agree with me on the ears, hit that like button. If you don't agree with me on the ears, hey, go ahead and hit that like button anyway. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.
We're Cold Slither, you'll be joining us soon. A band of vipers playing our tune. With an iron fist and a reptile hiss, we shall rule.
What is that idiot doing?
We've heard it before. We're not gonna play the game no more. Now tell us what's right.
They are animals.
To them to resist, 'cause Cobra is strong.